things will start to fall into place. But if these people that like keep running into roadblocks, and yes, there's systems and process and day ones and day twos and communication, education, all the things
Yep.
that help you excel. But again, back to the simple basics. Like you have to know where you're going, and until you do, like it's going to be a uphill battle continuously.
Hey, Cash Practice members, Dr. Miles Bodzin here, your founder and CEO of Cash Practice, and I am thrilled to have with me the one and only Dr. Paul Reed. Many of you probably know Dr. Paul. I'll say, give a chance to say hello in just a second. I just want to give a quick intro. Paul and I have known each other for probably 2 decades now. In fact, we go way back that you were a client of ours many years ago. And but you're doing great things. In fact, the last 17 years, I think this is the 17th year you're putting on ChiroFest. Those of you, most of you probably know what ChiroFest is. For those of you who don't know, it's the largest science, art, and philosophy program on the West Coast, other than I guess you'd say Parker Seminars in Vegas. But other than that, the largest program. And if you haven't been to that, I highly recommend. I know it's coming up September 24th and 25th of this year of 2026. So we'll give you some details about that later, but I just want to give a quick introduction. The man behind it all, Dr. Paul Reed. Great to have you. Let's share a little bit. Let's just start with this. Tell us a little about yourself. For those of you who don't know you, like give your quick bio and maybe a little background, how you even gotten to be chiropractic, because we
Yeah.
all have been called to serve in chiropractic. How are you
Amen.
called?
Amen. Absolutely, buddy. And first and foremost, my wife is glad there's not two of me. There's only one. So this is good. Yeah. So man, I had my first quote unquote chiropractic experience. I was eighth grade. My dad had been seeing this doc. I was heavily involved in sports, boogered myself up, took me to see his doc at the time. And I literally in my infancy of my chiropractic understanding, didn't really know what was going on, what he was doing, took some films, laid me on the table, told me here's what he's going to do, and checked and adjusted me. And I got up off the table, and to this day I teach and preach, like to your point, we were called, right? That adjustment connected man, the physical, man, the spiritual. I'm like, I'm doing that. I don't know what it was. Like, that was the first
They
time I've
called
ever
you.
experienced this, but it literally, and I got goosebumps talking about it. Like it literally shifted the human being that I am today, and really course corrected my life, really directed me to, and that minute, like literally that instant, I met Heidi, my wife now, that within 6 months, the next year of our freshman year of high school, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a chiropractor when my sports career is done, and really just held that line. And here we are, man. I'm almost 29 years into practice, so
Wow.
I'm not young by any means anymore. Been at it a hot minute. So yeah, so we scale. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, like you said. I had 5 practices. My main clinic was, we'd used your services and cash practice for decades. Yeah, so I had exited. I grew those multiples, sold those in 2019, and
Wait,
then
hold on. Time out. Time out. You just jumped from high school to 5 practices that multiples that you exited. Okay, let's
yeah.
slow down for a second. Okay. Okay.
I'm giving you a short track, man. There's only a limited amount of
Yeah, no
time.
worries. First of all, real quick, you said a sports career. What were you doing sports wise?
So at the time, I injured myself wrestling, but I played college football. So I used sports as my vehicle to get college paid for, and
Awesome.
was played at Washington State. Was same class as Drew Bledsoe. So I
Okay.
dropped his name a lot because everybody's like, oh, that's I know that name. I recognize
All
it.
right. So you did
Yeah.
sports, then you went into chiropractic. Let me
So
ask you
I
this,
Go
right?
ahead.
You
Yeah.
continued on when you got
Yeah.
out of school, did you start right away on your
I
own? Did you buy a practice? Like,
Yep.
tell
So
us the beginning. Here's what I want to get over. Here's what I find connects with a lot of the audience. Oh, we're all successful. Were you successful right from the beginning, or did you have any struggles? Like, did you have some
Oh,
lessons along the way? Like,
tons of struggles. Yeah. So I'm again, as I said, there's good thing there's only one of me because I like to learn things the hard ways, and as to why I'm still doing a seminar after 17 years. Um, but but yeah, so I we lit so to wrap it, to give a little more backstory. Um, Finished in a bowl game, and I had literally forfeited a semester of school, semester of scholarship, because I'd already graduated early, or not early, but on time. And I forfeited that and started chiropractic school. So we finished, went and played Baylor in the Alamo Bowl. Got back like on a Tuesday. Heidi and I drove home on a Wednesday, and I started chiro school like on that next Monday.
wow.
And so then straight through, like, so many of us did, and then finished up in December, and then I opened my first practice in August by the time I got licensure and all that stuff. So opened up on my own, leaned on the 2 cars that we had, and scrapped and saved and did all that we could to, open. And again, blessed that I didn't get out with a ton of school debt, like unfortunately many of the students are doing today. But
Yeah.
yeah, so opened my first one.
And was it
For
like
me.
a rocket? Like when you open your first practice, were you immediately I
So
assume you were already philosophically driven at that point. I'm going to guess that's the case.
I was still learning, right? I was still young. I went to a school that wasn't principled, but I'd seen a principled chiropractor, and to the space that I'm in today, not only for my athletic career being around coaches and surrounding myself around people that were doing bigger and better things than me, I hired my first coach, Ron Oberstein, 6 months
Yeah,
before I opened, right? So I literally I had showed up to one of Ron's seminars, hadn't opened the practice yet, was taking on debt to do build out and all this stuff, and
yeah,
came home and told Heidi, like, yo, I got to send this guy 12 predated checks for $750. She's like, what?
yeah,
Like, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, I'm doing that.
yeah.
And so while there was struggles and while there was, lots of learning that needed to incur from, where I was to where I wanted to be, working with him 6 months before I opened my practice definitely shortened the learning curve. Like, I like
That's
to tell
awesome.
guys, like, coaches have paid the dummy tax. Like, there's no reason for you to learn the hard way. Let us shorten your learning curve, accelerate your success and whatnot. So yeah, so I hired him 6 months before opening. So I had some foundation that he'd been, working with me before I
That's
opened up.
awesome.
And yeah, yeah. So that,
Fun story with Ron Oberstein. We're both in San Diego. Ron was in San
yep,
Diego as well at the
yep.
time. I went to his philosophy lectures and his practice when I was a student in school. We used to drive down from
Awesome.
LA down to San Diego and go to his
Yeah.
program. And just real fun. We're also connected. Ron gave my daughter her first adjustment when she was like, I think 4 days old.
Awesome.
Um, the doctor I bought my practice from, I met at Ron Oberstein's office. He was
Wow.
another guy going to his philosophy. So yeah, a lot of history there. And
So
it
back
was
to
the Power
BJ,
Zone, right? You were doing his
yeah,
Power Zone,
yeah,
right?
exactly. It's power
Back in the
zone and
day.
success. And again, back to BJ, right? You never know how far reaching something we say, think, or do affect the, like, look
Yeah.
at Ron's reach, you,
Yeah.
me, like, oh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
very much so, very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big influence, and
Yeah.
it's great to see him retired now and kind of enjoying his life,
Yeah. Yeah.
so much.
Rewired, I think is what he's calling it. So
Yeah, rewired,
rewiring.
exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Right.
Because I asked myself, what am I going to do one day if I ever retire? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, you're so ingrained in your identity as a chiropractor and what we do
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
world. So,
Yeah.
so you got some help at the beginning, which I wish I did. I didn't do that myself, and looking back, I wish I had gotten some coaching early on. So you did coaching that
Yep.
got you off the ground, and if there was like a lesson you wanted to share maybe from that first year in practice to a listener
Yeah.
right now, because we have people who have been with us for years and people who are brand new. Like, if there
Decades.
was
Yeah.
one or two lessons you learned at that early stage, probably something you still even teach in your coaching program today, what would those be?
Yeah, really getting clarity on what you want to create. So many docs just open up their practice or jump into a practice with another doctor or whatever it might be with really out certainty on where they want their life to go. And I think the biggest attribute that Ron helped me do early on was like, what's it going to look like? What's it going to smell like? What's it going to sound like? What's the flow like? How many people, based on your understanding of your technique, what volume and flow and revenues and things do you want to produce and generate? And I think today, unfortunately, a lot of doctors will jump into a career or open their office with really out having established that clarity, because without, right, fuzzy targets don't get hit. So if you just
Exactly.
open your doors without any idea what you're doing, you're going to flounder, and it's going to take time, and then you're going to get frustrated. That frustration is going to lead to doubt, and that doubt's going to lead to just like it's just going to trickle down. And so
So you're
really getting
talking
clarity.
vision, right? So
100%.
yeah, and I agree 1000% on that. Is the mindset, vision, being able to literally taste it, smell it, see it, the whole thing. In
Yeah.
fact, Holly Jensen, who works with
Yeah.
me,
Yep.
she will often reminisce about, I remember you're like, oh, we're on an airplane together. And I remember you talking about and laying out the vision and, and really having clarity around it, having these conversations. So help a doctor right now, like if they're not having the clarity around it, what's some exercises they can do to get some clarity? Like what would you suggest?
Quiet the noise, right? I mean, really, so many of us, especially as entrepreneurs, like we're always like, what's next? We're like forward thinking, which is great. But if we're not sitting and getting quiet and listening to innate and allowing that to direct our vision and our thoughts, again, we might be chasing somebody else's goal. Like I
Right,
see that all the time. Like, hey, I want this. Well, do you really want that, or is it because your buddy that you think perceived successful is doing that, and that means you
right.
want it? And if you don't, if you're chasing something that's not in your heart and in your spirit, again, it's going to lead to frustration. You're never going to achieve that thing. And if you get close to it, again, you're not going to be happy. And so really like getting like, why did I become a chiropractor? What was inspired inside of me when I was, like, as you mentioned, called to do this thing, and listening to innate and getting your downloads and then
You
moving
know,
forward. Yeah.
it's interesting you say that because when I reflect on my own life as you're saying this, I was a lost student. I was an engineering student, and I ended up dropping out of engineering to become a chiropractor. But I didn't leave engineering to become a chiropractor. I actually dropped out of engineering and went to the beach with a pad of paper and started writing in a diary, what do I want my life to be, and creating a
Mm,
vision. And then once I
yeah.
had that vision, I was visiting my chiropractor. Then it became clear to me, oh,
The
that
like
chiropractor is living my
that's it.
vision, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once
I
you
got
have to have
goosebumps
that,
again. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta have clarity around that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're flopping the lines.
Yeah.
That's a great
And
insight.
yeah, and I see that, and people are years into their career and they haven't done that exercise and they're not fulfilled. Everything's harder. Like I'm like when the vision's clear and the mechanisms appear, like the provision will happen. Like things will start to fall into place. But if these people that like keep running into roadblocks, and yes, there's systems and process and day ones and day twos and communication, education, all the things
Yep.
that help you excel. But again, back to the simple basics. Like you have to know where you're going, and until you do, like it's going to be a uphill battle continuously.
Stephen Covey said it best. You got to start with the end in mind and work backwards,
Yeah,
right? You got to start with the end
yeah,
in mind, which means you have the vision, you have the goal, whatever you want to call it. It's not just a goal. It's the vision is very much bigger than a goal, but
yeah.
you have that target in mind. I think that's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. Give me two examples where that served you personally in
Oh,
chiropractic.
man, to my office, well, and even my personal life. So Heidi and I, again, we opened practice when I was 27, and had like, okay, here by the time we're 50, like this was our and again, alignment and congruence with your significant other is like massively
Yeah,
important. Back to like if there isn't, because there's going to be give and take days where I'm going to need to stay late, so that person at home is going to have to going to pull
yep,
their extra weight with kids or whatever it might be, and so that alignment, that congruency in the direction that you want to go. And so we, again, back to that clarity, like here's where we want to be before we're 50, or by latest by we're time we're 50, like this amount of revenue, this amount of assets, debt free, practice looks like this, and all of those things. And it literally, and today I tease when I'm speaking sometimes, like, why didn't I have a bigger vision? Because like those things
they manifest.
manifested into my life. And I'm like, dude, why didn't I double my asset vision that I wanted for myself? And so that it is not only in my practice, and again, you'll hit, as your practice grows, there's going to be new pain points, right? New levels, new devils, right? And so when
Yep,
I went from practice number one, from volume here to here, okay, well now how do I acclimate and want to continue to grow to fulfill my vision? Oh wait, I need to bring on another doctor to help me accelerate exams, re-exams, process more people,
right.
etc. Okay, boom, now we're here. Okay, well this practice another principle, limitations of time to matter. We can only bend over so many people. I want to serve more people in my community. Hey, Paul, do another office. Oh, boom. Okay, now I bring another doctor, do another
Right.
office. Same thing. Our model works. We're providing, in my opinion, the best care to our community. And then three, four, five, like just, and so that just, yeah,
Did
continue
you
to.
get help when, let me back up for a second. A lot of doctors will have this and they'll bump their head, they'll open another office, and instead of having busier, they just now have two practices that are the same busy. Like they haven't figured out how to scale it versus
Yeah.
just simply, well, I'm working just harder for the same thing because I now have to be in multiple locations, and I've seen it go both ways, right? In fact, I
It,
meet with a group of doctors every couple of weeks and we have a conversation, and this is one of those things of like, oh, I'm scaling, I'm looking for team members, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Share some insights around that about, oh, you're adding practices and how does that work?
First, you have to have established processes, SOPs, right? If you don't, and your team, and then not only do you have to have them, what I see as a big block with chiropractors, as good as we communicate to practice members, we're terrible communicators to our team or our employees, right? And so if you're not communicating what your expectations are them, like, hey, I want this done by this day, this done by this day, I want your report to be by this day, and
Right.
it just outlining everything from, and there'll be like, did I have some, when I opened up the first one, did I have some little bit of cannibalization? Yes, because people that lived around that office started to go there. But then our processes were in place with acquisition,
Right.
conversion, retention, all the things that one grew, right? And then we did another. And so really it's SOPs, but then more importantly, communicating your expectations, those SOPs to your teams. And so,
It,
as we grew, like there's only so many you can manage, right? And you can't reproduce yourself. That's the other thing where I see doctors like, I'm going to do second office, but it's going to be me. Well, that's counterproductive because
right.
that's not the goal. Like you don't want to work more. You want
So,
to, you want to go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so it goes back to like you gotta have the people, the right people in the right seats, as it's often said. You gotta have the
Yep.
vision, you gotta have the systems, the standard operating procedures,
Yeah.
you gotta have the communication, right? You gotta have all of those things. And sometimes you're right, doctors they're missing one of those pieces. And
Yeah.
sometimes if they don't know what, and again, most of the stuff, if not all of it's been figured out. So,
Yeah.
doctor listening right now, if you're in this position where you're like, you want that stuff, you don't have to figure this out on your own. There's plenty of resources. Paul, you're including you, like you're a coach
Yep.
as well.
Yeah. I
That
was one of the crazy ones back in the day. Like everybody would say like, oh, I'm expanding. I have, we had like 30 some employees one time. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, don't. So to my point being is like, if you have that vision, don't allow your buddies lack of vision. Don't let them speak negativity in your life just because they're not, they don't have the same dream as you. So and
Yeah,
I had to
speaking
deal
of,
with that.
speaking of that, we all have our buddies and we love them to death, but not everybody has the same ability to have vision. And we're all humans. In fact, I was just doing a webinar with Kathy Mills Chang yesterday, and one of the questions that came in happened. And I had a section on care planning, and one of the CAs asked the question about their doctor doesn't really recommend care long term and this stuff. And how do I get them to do it? And the conversation was around sometimes doctors just need some therapy. Like they have their own shit going on. They have their own stuff
We
going
do.
on that
We
gets in the
do.
way of them telling patients what they need. Like they want to be liked versus what they, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we all have our
Yep.
stuff, right? So you got
Yep.
to kind of address that stuff as well.
And that back to our early on conversation, what direction we want to go, that starts with the doctor working on themselves, right? I remember
Right.
hearing Fred Barge way back in the day that the healer starts with you. Like, if we want our practice members to heal, we have to make sure that we are healed ourselves first. And
Right.
that starts with, I'm a big advocate of personal development and morning rhythms. Like, you got to see your day before the day, get your mind, heart, and spirit right before you enter your practice. Your energy has to be right. All of these things need to come together and show up as your best version of yourself so that patient experiences and that team member experiences the best version of you to lead them to where you want them to go.
Absolutely. People like we're all feel each other's energies and all that. And when you're
Yeah.
having a great day and you're in the flow, like patients feel it. And
Yeah.
when you're off, it's not. And that's so true. So let me ask you this. What got you started with doing ChiroFest? I'm just curious, like what was the
Yeah.
motivation for that? Because
Yeah.
you got lots of practices, you're very busy. Like, what
Yep.
are you
Yep. Yep.
insane? Is that what the problem is?
Yes, a little bit. I remember I told you I played football, so I get hit in the head too many times.
Yeah.
But so I had started a local philosophy group where I was
I
bringing
remember I
docs.
spoke it. That's how you and I, one of the ways we initially, I was a speaker
Yeah.
at your philosophy group.
Yeah, so I had my philosophy group and then went to Billy D's Cal Jam 1 and I was like, this is cool. This is reaching people. Selfishly, I want the means behind the mass the nonsense of doing is I want my kids to know chiropractic the way I know chiropractic. And
Right.
so I went there. It was inspiring. It was motivating to help me want to go back and serve at a bigger level. And so I connected with Bill. I'm like, bro, like let's do a Cal Jam North, like 6 months apart. People need to
Right.
get dipped regularly. Let's partner up and we'll do a North. And he's like, Paul, you go do Paul. I'm building this thing for me the way I want to build it. I'm like, all right, message received.
Yeah.
So that's how it was birthed. The very first year was literally I had a vision of old school Lyceum tent,
Yeah.
elephants, the whole thing BJ did. So my first year was in 2010 was in a patient on a patient's property. He had multiple acres. I'm like, hey, can I borrow your property and put
Yeah.
some tents up and have a bunch of people come? And he's like, sure, Paul. And so the first year was literally under tents. Yeah, lots of fun. But I had, great speakers that year. One of them being Fred Schofield. He grabbed me afterwards, being Fred,
Yeah.
grabbed me and was like, Paul, if you want this to grow, you need to put it inside. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I'm like,
Make people comfortable.
yeah, exactly. And so here we are, like I said, year 17, science, art, philosophy. Our tagline is honor the past, preserve the future, back to again, like, so the
Yeah.
principle of chiropractic can continue on. So, yeah.
And so if doctors want, not to keep pushing that over, that's not the intention of this interview right now, but if someone's interested in wanting to learn more about it, where do they go?
ChiroFest.org.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
ChiroFest.org.
Go,
Yep.
go
Yep.
learn about it.
And again, we'll have 20 speakers over 2 days, CE for most states.
Yeah,
Lots
awesome,
of fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. All right, so let's talk about your coaching for a moment. And I've had the pleasure of being in one of your coaching groups and hearing the doctors and you had me come talk to them. When you're doing coaching, this was in a webinar format. Tell me what it's like if someone's working with you and what would be the number one reason they would go to you versus, let's say, another coach, per se?
Again, back to not
That
every
people have to have one coach, by the way. I know
Well,
lots of
amen
people
to that.
Yeah, coaches, many different coaches. This isn't
yeah,
necessarily
and
you
I do
versus
that.
someone
I have
else.
multiple at any one time. So you're 100% right. And so I think we all align and resonate with people differently. And so I think it's really most importantly finding a coach that one has been and done where you want to be and go. I think that's huge. Like there's a lot of people in the space that are, that's the first, for me, that's one of the most important things. Okay. And that was my coach. Like Ron did what I want to do. Then my next coach was the next level. My next
Right.
coach is the next level. Then I got coaches outside of the chiropractic space to help me personally and spiritually and all
Yeah.
the things to become who I wanted to be. And so, yeah, so I think just somebody that has,
Well, let me
has
ask you this.
followed.
What's the problem, the main problem a doctor would be having? Like, I got that for that guy. Like I know I could help that guy.
Well, if we look at our space, all chiropractors want more new patients and more money, right? That's kind of like the two things. And but that again starts with them. And so they need to back to getting clarity, back to incorporating the systems and process of training their team, training themselves to expand and pull, eventually scale and pull on. I would say maybe that's the one thing if you're looking to scale, maybe one office with multiple doctors or do multiple offices. That was really, I would say, my sweet spot. I did it without, there's a lot of them doing it, but they're borrowing revenue or partnering with other people. Heidi and I did it ourselves with no debt,
Right.
just being strategic with your revenue and as I learned early on, reinvesting in yourself. And so yeah, maybe somebody's wanting to scale, just really work on who they are.
So
Again, I would,
scaling. Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. So let
yeah.
me ask you this. If there was one question I haven't asked you yet, but you wanted me to ask you, what would that question
Oh
be?
my goodness, Doc, that's well, my kid, I think let your actions speak so loudly that people can't hear what you're saying. That's not really a question, but I think that's a way of living. Like really focus on you and showing up the best version of yourself. And that's at the end of the day, that's my coaching principles. Like if you can show up the best version of yourself as a chiropractor each and every day, 1% better, back to you never know how far reaching, right? That patient that you're going to inspire that might
Right.
want to become a chiropractor because the way you showed up at your office, if we show up and we're off and we're disconnected and we're just going through the rhythm, through the motions and we're not, PTC with those people, we're not delivering the best care that we can. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. What I take away from our conversation at this point is if you need to get your vision, you need um, maybe some examples of standard operating procedures or best practices for scaling, but you're in that position where you just need someone to kind of grab you by the shoulders and shake you to say, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Kind of get the sense, Paul, that you're that guy.
Yeah, and I would say I open up with all new on because I have group and one-on-one individual stuff depending on the doc's life and where they want to go. But I tell every single one of them, you already know what to do, right? And we do. Like there's so much information out there, but it's accountability or being held
Yeah.
accountable to do what you need to do. And I would really say that's the sweet spot where my accountability is high.
So speaking of vision, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
It reaching more people. Yeah, yeah. One of
Well,
my
in
benefits.
general, you mean just people in general or more chiropractic? Like, and reaching in what way?
Again, back to, everything starts with a thought first, or really, as a mindset, really helping direct people's thoughts so that they can create the life that they want. I got a book coming out that's really directed around that. Like we are all designed to win, but not all of us are winning because we haven't put the right formula in place.
Right.
And so getting that formula in place to really accelerate your life and I teach and operate out of 5 foundations: your faith, your fitness, your family, your finance, and fun. And so really that's kind
Say
of
that
the
again. Your faith.
faith, fitness, family, finance, and fun. So
Five F's.
5 foundations. Been doing that teaching that for 7 years almost now in my men's group plus to the Chiros. And so that's really kind of the MO of helping folks
You just
accelerate.
mentioned something. Men's group.
Yeah, so I have a separate men's, like I have Chiro group, right? But then I have a men's mentorship group that low entry. We meet every Tuesday morning for 40 minutes and share
So that's a lot like are you leading that or is that just a
I
group of,
am.
yeah,
I
awesome.
am, yes. Yeah. So we do accountability roll call. I teach a lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome,
yeah.
man. Just a giver, a lover, a teacher.
Yeah, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? And that's the whole reason. Like I'm in a place, you know, coaching wasn't a have to. Like I see a lot of folks jump into that because I have to. It was a get to. Like we're in a position where I don't need to coach. Like I could golf more and fish more and
Sure.
hang out with Heidi more, but that's not serving. That's I was too blessed to not be able to give back to,
Sure.
and help people
I feel the
create
same
something.
way. I feel
Yeah.
exactly the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we did, yeah, I don't have to do these things. I'm getting to do these things.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's
Awesome.
a great space to be in, so yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's go. I think it's a good spot to kind of wrap things up. Why don't we
Yeah.
do
Thanks, bud.
this? As we wrap up here, if someone wants to get a hold of you regarding, we already said we're about ChiroFest.
Yep.
If they want to get a hold of you just in general, whether it's for your coaching or just to have a question for you, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably my easiest, and my handle's at Dr. Paul Reed Official.
There you go.
So I
At
think just,
Dr. Official. There you go.
yeah.
At Dr. Paul
Oh,
Official.
dude, I had crazy enough YouTube. I had Dr. Paul Reed and on my YouTube, and I wasn't active enough of it or with it, and they gave it away to another Dr. Paul Reed. I'm like, you turkeys.
Yeah, the official.
Yes,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Official. So
That's
yes,
awesome.
that's the easiest way.
That's awesome. Well, that being said, in preliminary conversations prior to the interview,
Yeah.
we mentioned something about maybe making some kind of promo
Yeah.
offer to Cash Practice. Those of you who are Cash Practice clients that are listening to this right now, is there something
Yeah.
you wanted to offer in regards to the ChiroFest?
Yeah, so for ChiroFest, I'll have my bride create a code Cash Practice, and when they go to register, I'll give them $50 off to
There you go.
to 10. And it's one of the, I don't want to say cheapest, but it's one of the lowest barrier of entry seminars out there for
Awesome.
per se. Yeah. So.
Well, awesome. Everybody, thanks for taking the time to listen or watch if you are watching. You guys have a great one. Dr. Paul Reed, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate you.
Thanks,
Keep
Doc.
doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Doc.